You're live, Al.
I know, Ron. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm just checking the second screen as everyone's like, what's Al Red Sox fan up to?
Look, the
Anyway.
camera's higher and she went.
Sound check is good. Hey, Ron. How are you? Sound check works. We are good.
There we go. Oops.
There we go.
Ah.
So, Ron Juckett, good friend of the channel's with me.
How you
doing? Very lucky to have Ron Juckett. And if you don't know Ron Juckett, the link is in the chat. And it's Retro Sports Network, I believe. But you got to check that out. Also, let's go through the good friends of the channel. Ken Castro is with us, sports writer extraordinaire. So I have two sports writers on, Mr. Ron Juckett, live and in person, and Ken Castro in the chat. And Ron, I'm just going to go through the friends of the channel list real quick, and then we'll start. So we're here with Ron Juckett. Now I want you to check out his channel, and that's Retro Sports, correct? Retro Sports
Network, I believe it is.
Retro Sports Network. Link provided on the page and in the chat. Also, check out Dog Sidious, all things Star Wars and entertainment. Broke Black Man 94, our good friend David the Saint, TV and movie reviews. JD, another one of our good friends, a moderator, as well as Broke Black Man and Dog Sidious. Game of Thrones fan, author, check him out. Higher Ground Gaming, Retro Sports, Sims with Eric. ID Gesture, military strategy, sports, RPG games, Stratomatic Delaware with Chris, and we'll be on with Dog Sidious, Chris and myself, I believe, tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Dog Sidious's channel. So check that out. That's a lot of fun, as I got the coffee belches early. RNGIDP with Craig, Soccer Blast, and Stratomatic Baseball. Phil the Issues guy, one of the gentlemen who got me into streaming. So if you hate me, you kind of got to be a little upset with Phil. And then the other guy who got me into streaming is right here on it right here.
I didn't know it.
Ron Juckett. So check out Phil, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, again, movie and TV reviews. Chris from Espo Strat Baseball Network, Stratomatic Baseball, Tabletop Baseball Plus with the Earls, all kinds of great sports on there. Mosley Boxing is a boxing channel. And Omenino Video Game Play, check him out. EO Sports League with Ian, more retro sports. Bleacher Bums Gaming with Anthony, lots of good stuff there. Retro sports, baseball, soccer, auto racing. Johnny Indie Boots, Game of Thrones, just all around fun chat. Johnny the King. Max Cornelius, Retro Sports, Action PC Baseball. Tribes Fan 879, Stratomatic Baseball. He's going to be doing I want to say it's a 71 replay with Ferguson Jenkins. He just did his 67 Met replay using Stratomatic Baseball. AU Pack Mule, another wonderful channel. You got to check him out. Clinton Parks, Retro Sim Baseball. Mr. Utah Mike. Citadel for Trivia, which was on tonight. Trivia channel, mostly about Game of Thrones, but other things. Dog Sidious, again, he's on there. I love him so much. I have him on there twice. Itinerary Hobbyist and the original Grognard, wonderful channels, military strategy. Chrissy Oldstone's beautiful reading voice. She reads poems, books, unbelievable. John St. Baptiste for your music needs. He has a theme. It's really fun. Check it out. Appa Replay. This is a blog site, as I call it, or a website, where he writes articles about the tournaments he does using Appa and Out of the Park 19, Lady Wolverine's Den, Game of Thrones. And I missed What's Blazing in Sports, my good friend T-Dub for boxing. I knew I missed him. Anyway, those are all some of the friends of the channel. Check them out. They're absolutely outstanding. We got people viewing us, and we have Mr. Ron Juckett with us. We have Dog Sidious, Ken Castro. We'll be on Dog Sidious's channel tomorrow, correct, Dog? I'll just wait for you. Anyway, and it'll be myself, and I think Chris from Stratomatic Delaware. I see Spots has jumped in there. He's saying hi to Ron.
Hello.
All right, Ron. What have you been up to, Mr. Ron Juckett? Tell the audience here. We have not seen you in a while. You had your triumphant return, and the floor is yours, my friend. I'm going to have a sip of coffee and try to avoid coffee belches.
Yeah, that's always good. I spent the last couple of years at Fansided. I spent most of that time writing about the Washington Nationals at District on Deck, and then I closed it out with a couple months writing about the Washington Capitals. It was a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, and they did not want me to go, but I got to love the Washington Nationals, old Expos, but the Capitals were a team that I really just didn't have much affection for. Don't dislike them, but didn't really love them. And if you're going to do this for a living, you got to love it. And so I'm a free agent now, and so through a couple other things, I've started a new website, which I won't advertise today because it's not quite ready for public.
Okay.
But doing some stuff back on the Retro Sports Network channel that someone maybe that beautiful graphic for. So we'll do some football at lunch and some baseball and all that as I try to keep myself busy as we head into winter.
And if you have not checked out the Retro Sports Network, it's absolutely awesome. Ron has one of the best play-by-play calls out there. I'm not because you're my friend. You could do it professionally. It's awesome. And I actually make a little joke with once in a while, because you used to go, and if you're scoring at home, that's 6-3. But why would you be scoring at home? Great line. And I do that every once in a while because it's a homage to you, sir. I just think
on that too.
And I always say you should be scoring at home.
Well, that's actually a rip-off of Keith Olbermann.
Oh, is it?
I believe so. Not the whole,
yeah,
the whole double entendre at scoring at home, and you turn it into your own. I mean, nothing we do is original.
No, it's not. I always think I'm original. I'm like, oh wow, I just realized I ripped off that movie. Now I might think I did it better, but I ripped them off. So in the chat, we have Dog Sidious, Ken Castro, I See Spots. If you're listening or you want to jump in the chat. Dog Sidious says, think Chris needed to start around 10 p.m. tomorrow night. Fan Addicts may join us for about 20 minutes. That's fine. It's your call, my friend. Thank you very much for having me on tomorrow. As Ken Castro says, or free agent, as you say. Oh, Ken Castro says, welcome. This is directed to you, Ron. Ken Castro. Ken, have you ever met Ken? Ken Castro is a sports writer from Rhode Island.
Oh, no, I don't think I have.
And he says, I lost it because the thing moved up. Oh, welcome to the wonderful world of full-time freelancing, Ron. LOL. Living my Rhapsody, LMR has jumped in the chat. And as always, the lovely LMR says, hello, lovelies. So, anyhow, check out her channel, too. I forgot to put that in the link. I always forget somebody. So, it's very good to have you back, Ron.
Thank you.
And your knowledge of sports is incredible. And what I like about Ron is not only is he a nice guy, knowledgeable, he's a Red Sox fan.
Yes, I am.
So let's just touch. And you're a Giants fan, correct? New York Giants football. And then you said something yesterday. I didn't know this. You're a Les Habitants fan, or a Canadians fan. Yeah. Okay. I still love you. Ron. Why, Ron? Why? Yes. Why? Let's start there. Why are you a Canadians fan?
Okay, that's a good question. On cable up here, we get the CBC, which has Hockey Night in Canada.
Yep.
And hockey was a sport I came into later on than the other ones, and so they were good.
Yep.
And I when they were clicking, the Hockey Night in Canada was the best television production in sports, and it couldn't
really. Now, did they have on Hockey Night when you started watching it? Oh, it might have been that because Gerry Cheevers did that a little bit, right?
He may have. That was before my time. I remember Gerry in college doing the studio with Tom Larson on the 38.
Gerry Cheevers, I always remember him for this.
Oh no, Gerry Cheevers was Rick Peckham's color guy doing the Whaler games on Sports Channel.
Oh, the old New England Sports.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's did Hockey Night in Canada have a guy who wore funny blazers?
That's Gerry.
That's who I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you.
If you're thinking of couch coverage, you're thinking of Don Cherry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Because Jerry, I realized when I said Gerry Cheevers was the goal, which I knew he was the goalie for the Bruins, and he used to put the stitches, the fake stitches on his his. Remember the old plastic masks they used to wear? Like they fit right to your face. That was nuts. And then the guys who didn't play with, you see the old highlights. The guys not playing with masks. That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
One of my Bucky Dent moment for hockey.
Okay.
Well, the first one, because you're a Canadiens fan, right? Yes. I want to say it's 1978 before they switched the rules. You know, like how the playoffs went. The Bruins were actually playing.
You're off, but I know what you're going for there.
Oh, 77 or 79. The Bruins were playing in the Stanley Cup against the Canadiens again before they switched the rules around. You know, like the Bruins and Canadiens can never meet in the Stanley Cup ever again unless they switch again, I believe. And the too many men on the ice, and I'm sitting there going, "Are you a kid?" As a kid, I think I almost threw an F-bomb against the TV, and I would have caught a backhand if I did. But I was like, "Are you kidding me? Too many men on the ice? No way!" That was my. I was taught to hate two things in my household: the New York Yankees and the Montreal Canadiens.
No, I hear you. That was Then the Islanders won 4 straight after that.
They had Billy Smith, who was the goalie in Springfield, Massachusetts for the Kings.
Wow.
For the Kings. Yeah, and he won either 1 or 2 Calder Cups. Funny story about the then Springfield Kings. They were the Springfield Indians.
Okay.
With Eddie Shore owned them. If you know hockey, Eddie Shore owned the Springfield Indians, right? In fact, Slapshot does a homage to him. Old-time hockey, Eddie Shore, And he sold it to the guy who owned the Kings and the Lakers, who was Jack
and Cook.
Yes, and they had yellow uniforms just like the Kings. And they had Billy Smith, who was their goalie. And before, I was a very young kid. I just remember my dad and my brother talking about it later, and then looking stuff up more, when I was able to. And they won either 1 or 2 Calder Cups with Billy Smith, who went on to be a great goalie with the Islanders. And the Bruins could never beat. They had Pete Peters. I remember they picked him up a trade from the team you covered recently, the Capitals, many moons ago. And Pete Peters, he was outstanding. But my God, they could never beat the two. I think they played him twice in the play. I could be wrong. Maybe it was only once. And, all the times they would lose to them in the regular season. They could never beat Billy Smith. I was like, So, but, yeah. So that's my Canadian story. That's why I hate them. That
was the thing. We didn't get, like I said, a lot of games, period. So hockey wasn't something I picked up along with the rest of them. It was later on. My mother didn't like the fighting. So even if there was hockey, you're not watching that.
Fighting, yeah. I lived for the watch. Drop the gloves, especially the big bad Bruins, boy.
Terry O'Reilly, oh yeah. Milbury.
If you've not seen this, it's out of Slapshot, literally. Do you remember, Ron, or you've seen the clip? Madison Square Garden.
I have seen the clip.
They go into the stands. This is real, not a movie. They go in chat. This is real. They go into the stands because someone was harassing their wives. They went over the glass, and they got into literally fist fights with the fans and the benches. Oh, it was awesome.
Didn't they hit someone with a shoe?
Yeah, they hit someone with everything.
Yes.
But that was wild. That's a wild night. I don't recommend it. I'm just saying, if you watch that, it's unbelievable.
My favorite clip of that sort of thing that's funny and not the whole Ron Artest thing in Detroit a few years ago.
Yeah.
Was Wendell Clark in the penalty box in Philadelphia. And there's a rather large man trying to climb over or trying
get to him.
Yeah, he trying to give him the business, and he fell into the box. Yeah, Clark just beat the snot right out of him. Yeah,
be careful, hey Ron. What they always say: be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, so, sometimes you get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the chat for a second, real quick. I want to say hello to our good friend, the Cubs, the Bears. And I think I said hello to LMR. I did. And Dog Sidious, thank you for putting LMR's channel in the chat. Thank you very much, because I forgot to put it in there because I'm stupid. Yeah, that was wild. That, yeah, be careful what you wish for. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Ken Castro says, because you were talking about the shoe, right?
Yeah.
Ken Castro says it was Milbury with the guy with the shoe.
Yeah.
And Moni G's joined us in the chat. How you doing, my friend?
So yes, there were reasons why hockey was not really allowed in the house. I mean, it was just kind of we watched wrestling. You know, we got TBS, and so we watched Mean Gene and all that.
Mean Gene Okerlund before he went to WWF or he left WWF to go to whatever, one or the other.
Georgia Championship Wrestling.
That was wild. Can we talk a little wrestling for a moment?
Sure.
So you bring that up, and I bring this up every once in a while. I loved wrestling when I was a kid, and I got back into it a little bit when The Rock and Stone Cold, because the storylines are hilarious, right? To me, they were funny, right? So I only had seen my dad's a barber. He has a barber shop, and he'd have all these kind of different sports magazines, right? He had all these wrestling magazines. I didn't know who these guys were. I didn't know who Ric Flair was, who the Cubs, the Bears will be wrestling this weekend. Our little character, the Cubs, the Bears, and our Fire Pro Wrestling for the heavyweight championship of the world. And I'm like, who's this guy? And you see blood. You know when they cut their foreheads and blood would just spew all over them. And so now we get Channel 20, which was an independent channel from either Connecticut or Albany or something like that, right? And all of a sudden you get to see this wrestling, this Southwest wrestling, and it had a lot of the same guys as the Georgia wrestling. Ron, I remember as a kid, they go, and be here next week on Saturday when we show you the scaffolding match from Dallas Cowboy Stadium, right? So we're all, oh my God, there's a scaffolding match. So you wait for next Saturday. They were up 30 feet, scared pissless. They're literally sitting on the scaffolding, like doing this. And we're thinking like they're actually going to like throw someone off and stuff. But it was good stuff, wrestling. Horrible, clean fun.
When I was a little guy, it was on Channel 6 out of Schenectady at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning. You got bowling and then wrestling.
That's right. That's hilarious. Now, you didn't get candlepin bowling, did you?
No, we weren't candlepinners.
Because you're not New England. You weren't.
Right. No,
not New.
Yeah, I knew of. Yeah, that was later on, but no, that was out of New York. They actually built out of a bowling alley in that studio.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, they would do the wrestling after. This is before the NFL pregame shows went to an hour and all that.
Yep.
And so, remember George the Animal Steele?
Yeah, absolutely. Green Tongue, the professor.
And so, I'm talking. I'm 3 or 4 years old.
Yep.
And you're watching this, and 10-minute time limit, one fall, and all that. And he sat there and ate the turnbuckle.
That was awesome.
And he would, not to me, it wasn't. Like I said, I was a little kid, and he'd sit there and he'd find the camera and he'd smile, and that foam would be in his mouth.
Yeah, and then you do the tongue thing, right?
Yeah, like, oh, that scared the living daylights out of it. Yeah.
I loved wrestling. I remember we told a wrestling story last week. When you'd go out after wrestling, we'd go outside, right?
Yeah.
And you find your friends, and you guys want to wrestle. Then we talk about the wrestling matches, and we had these. Me and my friend Dave would always wrestle these two other kids, and we want to be the good guys. I'm not going to bore the people. I'll go quick with the story, right? And they go, so we're the bad guys, right? Because I always wanted to be the bad guys anyway, because I wanted to cheat. And and they, the gist of the story is we work out how the match was supposed to go, and they go, and we win at the end. I go, yeah, but we're the bad guys, right? We can cheat, right? And they go, yeah, that's fine. I go, Dave, go get the trash can lid. We used to wrestle in their front yard, because remember the wood fences, not the picket fences, but the ones that look like Bonanza.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So they actually look like a ring, right? So
Yeah.
we'd wrestle in that corner. Oh my God, how many times Dave's mom, will you stop doing that? You guys are gonna kill each other. Going off the top thing, boom, hitting the kid with the. It was fun. I
Thank
enjoyed
goodness that your bodies were made of cartilage at that age.
Oh, I know. Yeah. As Moni G says, bowling for dollars. I think that was the candlepin one. But yeah,
it was called TV tournament time where I grew up, and it was once a week, and it was 3 or 4 older dudes in their 40s and 50s. They didn't smoke on camera because it was the late 70s, and you weren't supposed to be doing that. I'm not even sure there was a tournament involved. But
these guys bowling.
Just guys bowling.
and drinking.
Well, it was on a Sunday morning. There wasn't a lot of drinking.
The Earl Anthony, remember Earl Anthony used to be on Wide World of Sports?
Oh, sure.
You remember Big Time Bowler, right?
Oh, yeah.
I used to watch that stuff. So anyway, that's my Canadian story. Why? And I don't really hate my cousin played professional hockey. He was with the Bruins for a while, and he got traded to Florida last year. That's why I don't really like the Bruins too much. But I mean, I do, but I'm a little pissed at them. They traded my cousin. He scored his first goal against the Canadians in his first game up. He tore up the. I was like, yes, and he was with the Bruins at the time. So
yeah, Montreal's not very good this year.
No, isn't that sad? I think the teams in Canada.
All the Maple Leafs are co-favorites to win the cup.
But that's just recent. They've struggled for a few years.
Yes. Not long enough, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, you're a Canadiens fan. You're not you don't like the blue.
I don't hate the Bruins, but the Maple Leafs. If they finally knock 1967 off their lexicon, I'll be hurting.
Okay, Ron.
Okay.
You remember the Vancouver Canucks? Well, Vancouver still has a team. But do you remember the ugly?
Oh God, yes.
Ugliest uniforms ever.
Oh, between that and the Martian Wrappers, the Kings wore.
I think, and if you don't know, people in the chat, just look up Vancouver Canucks. What we have to say, like mid-70s, late 70s uniforms.
Late 70s. If you look up the '82 finals, because they were.
Yeah, they lost to the Islanders in the finals.
Yes, they did.
And I watched that on channel. We used to get the Red Sox games. This is in Ron. You'll remember this. The Red Sox for us. You got X amount of games on like channel 20, like your local channel.
Right.
And then we got some more games. You didn't get all the games, but you got some more games on what they called 69, channel 69, which was a 38, and we just got the feed just for the baseball game, right? Mm-hmm. And every once in a while they'd leave it on. We get to watch the Three Stooges in the morning. And they'd remember, it'd be like, you're watching the Three Stooges, and all of a sudden, like, son of a bitch, they remember. They click it off. And like, ah! So, but I watched the Stanley Cup on channel 69, bought the rights to the Stanley Cup, and that's because the Bruins were out. They got beat by, God, was 82 the year that they lost to the Island? I think it was. They lost to the Islanders in what I call the Eastern Championship, but they called it something else, the conference, whatever the hell it was called. And then I watched the Islanders and the Canucks on 6, and then I'm sitting there going, God, those uniforms are ugly.
Oh, they're terrible. They were terrible.
Yellow, brown, and like red, like puke.
It would be like if someone rubbed ketchup on those old San Diego Padre uniforms.
Yeah, because the Padres were a close third or fourth for not good uniforms.
I always liked the Astros rainbow uniforms, so I never was bothered by those.
That's like I like the old Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniforms with the
creamsicles. Yeah,
the creamsicle. I hate their new uniforms. Yeah, they suck. Anyhow, Thomas D. Leishout. Well, this is random, but hi. Well, hello to you, Thomas. Thank you for joining us.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's one of the uglier uniforms. That what were your feelings?
Okay.
1978, Ron. We're gonna go in the time machine, Ron.
Really?
Because Ron, I love to relive this. I've told people I literally watch this game 3 times a year, sometimes 4. I watch that game over, hoping for a different result, hoping that I won't get the call from my good friend George from the street over, who's and I like George. George was a Yankee fan, a Cowboys fan, and yes, a dreaded Montreal Canadiens fan.
So my response to that is, do you root for the house and blackjack too?
Yeah. Probably. Exactly. He was one of those guys. And, the game still turns out the same every time I watch it.
Yeah, yes, pops out with the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth.
Yep. Yeah. And that was, even though they had that great comeback, people might forget I think they won 10 in a row to catch the Yankees.
I believe so. They got blown out in early September and called the Boston Massacre.
They lose 3 or 4 in Boston.
Double digits too.
Oh, massacres, An understatement. They were double massacred.
You know, if you remember Game 3 of the '04 ALCS when the Yankees won 19-8, imagine.
Yeah, Wakefield pitched a lot of that game just so they wouldn't chew up their bullpen.
Right. So imagine
I believe that was the game.
3 or 4 straight games. It
Yeah.
was just that.
Now, I remember. It was horrible.
I turned 7 that November.
Yep.
So as far as the day-to-day things of it, I really don't remember. I remember the big lead. I remember, you know, relatives who were Yankee fans who certainly would let me know what was going on.
Yeah, of course they would.
I remember I almost started a fight in my school that particular day, and I had to stay late, so I didn't get home until 10 after 3 or whatever. So it was like the second inning.
Yeah. So you missed Yaz. Did you? I missed Yaz's home run by a little bit.
But
when I got home.
When I see late September, early October games at Fenway, and the sun really creeps over. It's hard now because they build up Fenway so much.
Yeah.
But the lighting at Fenway, that will always bring me back to that day. Piniella losing the ball and right, and then
it hit him.
Right.
I mean, what are the odds of that, Ron? Instead of like bouncing by him, it hit him in the, like he sticks his glove. I'm trying to remember. I think he just sticks his glove out and it hits his glove or hit him in the. I think he sticks his glove out if I remember right. I'm almost positive.
But yes, that was yeah, I remember that quite well. We had a little black and white TV, and it was, you know, it was the year that I finally got baseball. You know, I remember '75. Was allowed to step. I remember watching Fisk's home run.
Yep.
That made me a Red Sox fan for life, and which was interesting because at that point, you know, my mother and father were together, and we lived in upstate New York, so there weren't a lot of Red Sox fans then.
You were in enemy territory,
I was
Ron.
enemy. Oh, trust me, I was in enemy territory. So being a Red Sox fan in the middle of, you know, Yankee universe was frowned upon in this establishment, but but '78 was the, you know, as bad. You talked about Wakefield, as bad as Boone taking Wakefield was in
2003.
You know, it paled for me in comparison for Denton '78, and of course the 10th inning of Game 6 in '86.
Oh, I still can't watch that one.
No, I can't either.
I'm being honest. I've not. I can watch the '78 over and over again for some reason, but I can't watch the '86 over. I've never have. I'll watch like highlights on. I'll just move away. Well, I won't.
They were so dead team walking against the Angels. Do you remember?
They were done. Then Donnie Moore blew the save.
Right. And then went extras. The Angels tied that in the bottom of the ninth.
Yes. Yes.
And my favorite quote that's real from the Red Sox. I have two favorite Red Sox quotes. One that was made up, which was Jason Varitek telling A-Rod that we don't throw at 260 or 240 hitters when they had that fight in 2004.
Yep.
And then Steve Crawford, who actually won that game from the pen because the Red Sox pen.
Yep.
You and I could have pitched for that pen, and it wouldn't have been any worse.
Yeah.
Crawford told reporters after the game, if there was a bathroom on the mound, I would have used it, just so he could have taken a leak. You know?
That's awesome.
And
I think, Ron, you bring up Steve Crawford. I think he won 2 games in that American League Championship. I think he won 2 games out of the pen.
They won. He probably did.
Because I remember that pen. I loved Joe Sambito, but he was done by that time, and he wasn't horrible. But Calvin Schiraldi,
he never recovered.
No, he pitched so bad in games. And the other thing is, people forget. Gedman, I love him. He's from Worcester. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That ball wasn't that far outside. You should have caught it.
Yes.
And maybe it doesn't make a difference, but it should not have gotten by him. That's all I'm saying.
There are several things I have an irrational hatred for. Most of them involve college athletics: Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Bob Stanley.
Bob's the steamer.
And I hear he is the nicest guy.
Yeah.
He's good with fans of that.
Yep. But they always say that. Yep.
But being from that childhood era, from the time that I was 7 or 8 through, I was 14 in that '86 World Series. Nope.
Yep.
Nope. I can't do it. Probably forgave the Mets for that series when the Red Sox won in 04. But Stanley,
I'm going to tell you something funny about that. And let me just say hello to some new people in the chat. ID Gestures joined us. Great channel. Check him out. ID Gesture, one of the channels I promoted on the page in the chat, as well as this is Ron Juckett we're with. Please check out Ron Juckett's channel, Retro Sports League Network. Retro Sports Network, sorry. Broke Black Man 94, moderator extraordinaire, a.k.a. David the Saint. AU Pack Mule, another one of our fine channels that we promoted before we started. So check all these nice channels out, great channels, good people. These are the people we should support, in my opinion. And you know my opinion is law. Just kidding, not really. In my mind, you know. In my mind. But 86, I'm going to tell you my funny story about 86. So if you remember, and they did it even on the Curse of the Bambino special on HBO, and I remembered as soon as they said it because I always remember it. They had announced.
I hope Shaughnessy chokes on his on his payments for that.
Yeah,
but
I know. You're exact. All he did was put up. We could have wrote that book, Ron.
Yes,
we should have done it. We should have. I'm not a Shaughnessy fan. Can you tell? They announced Bruce Hurst as the MVP for winning 2 games in the World Series. It flashed. Bruce Hurst, congratulations, Red Sox. Bruce Hurst, the MVP. We had the champagne ready. My dad had the homemade pizzas we were making. We're all like ready. We got like 12. How many people? Some people left because we got a little late. But we had, I think, still 12 people in our house. We're going to watch the Red Sox win a freaking World Series, right? All that 1980 crap's going to, 1918, excuse me. All that crap's going to go away. I'm never going to have to listen to that shit ever again. Pardon my language again. Right? And then it happened. 1 strike away.
I have a friend who went camping that weekend. I didn't know this person at the time.
Okay.
And he goes, she's in Maine. She's in the woods in Maine, and so she's listening on the radio, and she must have fell asleep when they were ahead.
Did she think they won?
Yeah, it gets better. She goes into a general store that Sunday morning, and she says, "Isn't it great about what the Red Sox won a World Series?" And the guy behind the counter went, "You didn't hear it out, did you?" We had just moved to the area where my mom lives now.
Yeah.
That summer, and so we went and got my best friend from my old high school, and so we have a 4-day teachers convention vacation in October, and so he came up to watch the last 2 games at Fenway, 4 and 5.
Know who they lost.
And so, and then we get ready for Game 6. I mean, here we are. Here is, the highlight of our 14-year-old lives is that we're going to watch the Red Sox win the Red Sox shouldn't have taken a game from the Mets. The Mets won 108 that year.
Yes, they were a juggernaut.
And then Houston should have beat them in the ALs.
That was a great. Houston played in 2 of the best playoff series I've ever seen. That one. And what was it, early 80s?
It was 80.
They lost to Philadelphia in an unbelievable, so much better than the World Series. Unbelievable NLCS.
So here we are. This is the highlight of our lives, to sit there and go, we're going to watch the Red Sox win the World Series.
Exactly.
And that happened, and he went to bed and cried. But you can't blame him. I'm not going to name the person. But I don't blame him. It really took until they won in 04.
I've not got over that. I'm being honest. I mean, I'm over it, but I'm not. I don't watch it again. I can't.
It's funny because I'll watch I get the package obviously because they cover the Nets. Well, I get the package anyway because I love baseball.
Right.
But I love watching Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling on doing the Mets games. They're
great. They're great.
They're the best crew on the East Coast.
I wish they would do like a national. I know ESPN has. It's not really Monday Night Baseball to me.
Don't get me started on ESPN.
ESPN stink. I like ESPN because my brother-in-law works there.
Oh, nice.
But I don't like a lot of their broadcast. Whatever.
No. I actually was recording something and I watched the Venus Serena match on mute, which is how I watch most things on ESPN.
Yeah.
Hire me anyway. I'm a free agent.
Yes. We will love ESPN if they hire Ron. In fact, they should hire Ron. You know what? I take back everything. I love everything. For you, Ron. For you, Ron. I will eat crow, Ron.
Yeah, so would I. Actually, because of ESPN through my work for Fansided.
Yes. Ron, can I interrupt you 1 second? We have new people in the chat.
Yep.
Can you just rehash from the beginning? What this is Ron Juckett, good friend of mine, and sports writer, and he's just going to give you what he's been doing. So.
Yeah, I spent the last couple of years for Fansided, which is a Sports Illustrated company, writing primarily about the Washington Nationals, and then the last couple of months I wrote about the Washington Capitals hockey team. Delighted, it was a great place to work, great place to grow as a writer. I think, Al, I did 800 pieces.
Yeah.
In 25 months.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Anyway.
I couldn't write 10 pieces in 25,000 months.
So. Just get used to it. But ESPN heavily promotes their Sunday Night Baseball.
Yes.
And
it stinks.
I'm not going there, but yes. When the Nationals were on Sunday Night Baseball, which is always one game against the Mets.
Yep.
I think there was a Cardinal game and there was a Dodger game. The PR department would offer us a reporter. And so I had the pleasure of talking. I did it 4 times, as a matter of fact. Buster Olney twice.
I like Buster Olney.
Buster's great.
I like Buster Olney.
Buster's from Woodstock, Vermont, by the way.
Yeah. I knew he was from New England. I didn't know if it was. Yeah.
Cousin is the sanitation manager for the town that I have a cousin that lives in. So we talked about
funny.
That. I talked with Eduardo Perez, who strikes me as one of the most intelligent people I've seen.
Is that Tony Perez's son?
That is Tony Perez's son, and because of our age, Al, you want to ask, "How's your dad?"
Exactly.
Like, do you really think they answered that 600 times? True story.
Did he like playing in Boston?
In Montreal too. True story. The day I was supposed to interview Eduardo was the funeral of the Miami Marlins Spanish broadcaster who was 55 years with the Marlins and would go down to Venezuela in the winter and do the Caribbean series and all that. And so they had me trying to contact him during this man's funeral, which made me feel really terrible at the end of that. And it turns out he sat next to his father. So when I did how's your dad doing type deal, sitting next to him while you're messaging me on the phone, like, great. Anyway, and Tim Kirkshin, I got the chance to talk to in the weekend.
You guys had them on. I remember listening to those interviews on District on Deck.
Right. Yes.
Which was I enjoyed that. I like District on Deck, the YouTube.
Fun. The idea, you asked about that earlier, and the idea behind the post-game shows were they wanted us to do something, a recap that wasn't a recap. And at that point, we were, well, I can't get into specifics, but it was that took a lot of work just to get that. You're going to see the cat again.
The cat photobombed you.
Yep. Somehow the cat just opened up Google and opened up Google, and now I'm looking at the city. She hit a C. It must have hit return, and now I have a stock quote for Citigroup. Goes down 23 cents today and starts the Labor Day weekend at 71.24.
You get everything here on Al Red Sox Fan Channel. We just gave you stock quotes. So.
Thanks, Em, for that. My wife's due home in a couple minutes, and the cat is hungry. So in order, kind of like, I knew that YouTube could be good. And so my thought was, look, if we, instead of doing something after the game to write, which takes a while to produce and all that, let's go on to YouTube and do a live 10, 15-minute post-game show like you used to hear on the radio, where they would,
I loved it.
And Joe Castiglione would read the scores, and my partner Ricky would go through the minor league stuff. Ricky's a great guy. I have nothing but good things to say about Ricky Keeler and Drew Douglas, who are my partners at District. Great people. Drew starting his sophomore year at Virginia Tech. I feel so old.
You guys did a wonderful job. It should have taken off more. I just didn't understand when you had an opportunity.
The person that came in after me, and Blake, who's from England, by the way.
Yep.
Is wonderful, and he's made it his own site out. I'm so happy for what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
He really has done a great job. What was I going to say? Anyway, so we did it that way, and we end up with people like you. People would come in the chat, and it became Twitter for social media friends with some of these people. It really is. Baseball is such a wonderful community.
It brings a lot of people together.
Right, it absolutely does.
What's your cat doing now?
She's out in the hallway.
Before she shuts us down.
Right. I don't think she bought any Citigroup stock.
No. You never know. You might get a nice check in the mail.
That would be nice.
So, thank you for sharing that, because there are new people in the chat. We got What's Blazing in Sports, great boxing channel with T-Dub. Does a wonderful job. I love talking boxing with What's Blazing in Sports. So thank you very much. Again, Broke Black Man 94. And I have to tell you, Dog Sidious is a huge Buckeyes fan. And when you kind of, say nice things about the Buckeyes, but in big bold letters, Buckeyes in the chat. All wonderful people in the chat. So
my favorite Buckeyes moment.
Woody Hayes.
No, it's not Woody slugging the Clemson player. But Desmond Howard, the punt return.
Yep.
Heath Jackson.
For Michigan, right?
Loved, yeah. Who I absolutely miss. Passed away back in January. One man. Goodbye. Hello.
Hi. Bumbling, stumbling.
Yeah. That was the call.
He was one of the best announcers. And he was so good. He did some Monday Night Baseball, I remember.
Yes. He
did the football. College was outstanding. He did boxing too. People forget that. And he was really good at it.
He did kart racing.
Yeah, he did everything. And then did he even do like when the people used to jump off the cliffs in Acapulco for Wild World of Sports?
Acapulco cliff divers.
Yes.
He's gonna do a double somersault.
Yeah, and you just listen to him. It's like he knows what he's talking about. That's
75-foot dive into this little pool of water. Yes,
and try not to crash your head into the stones below.
True story. He did 10 He did 10 Olympic games for ABC. He was lucky enough to do swimming when Mark Spitz won the 7 gold.
Wow.
He did speed skating the year that Eric Heiden
right?
In Lake Placid, and he did track and field the year that Caitlyn Jenner won the decathlon by an ungodly, or Bruce then.
Yeah, Bruce then.
Ungodly margin.
Yeah.
Save those greedy boxes, kids.
Yep. Yeah, they're gonna could be worth something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So he was just wonderful. Now, back to baseball, and then we'll go to the chat and see what's going on with the chat here. As Princess X says, just stop by to show some love. Give a thumbs up. Thank you very much, Princess.
That's awesome.
We always like the likes. Remember to check out Ron Juckett. And if you can, Retro Sports Network, please give a subscribe to, please.
I appreciate that.
And for Ron. And if you don't, we'll hunt you down. No, I'm sorry. This is where I need Dog Sidious to do this. No, Al. No, stop. Don't. Stop it out.
Okay, Liam, I will find you. I will hunt you down.
Liam. I have a special set of skills. I don't really. But just back to the 2003.
Okay.
Do you hear the echo?
It's probably me because I don't have headphones on.
Okay. Anyway, the 2003, when Wakefield loses the game, I felt so bad, but
oh, terrible.
Jimmy Williams blew.
That's Grady Little.
Well, Grady Little, I'm sorry. Grady Little, I'm sorry, yeah. Grady Little, you had the best bullpen that year. You had a really good bullpen. Remember they had Embry and they had the other guy. Oh my, yes, Timlin. And they were lights out,
I forgot who closed for them that year.
I know, I can't. That's what I'm trying to think. Who closed for them? They went out and got Folk the next year.
Right.
God, who did close for them? Anyway, but they had a really good bullpen. It was lights out.
Mm-hmm.
You had the game won. You should took Pedro out of the game. I don't care if he wants to stay in the game. And Pedro explained it. He goes, "What am I supposed to say?" I said, "It's your decision. I want to stay in. You let me stay in. I pitched. Yeah, I'll take Pedro's word for it."
I never want to hear a pitcher say, "Get me out of here, man."
That's what Pedro is saying. You want me to say you have to make the decision. He wanted me to make the decision. Well, in my mind, I can get these outs, right? If you don't like the way I'm throwing, take me out of the game. I'm paraphrasing, but I love Pedro Martinez, so I'm biased. So now I remember sitting there going, how do you not take him out? Then they blow the lead, right?
Right.
I went upstairs. I was so disgusted. I went upstairs. My dad's like, "You're not going to watch the end of the game?" I'm like, nope. I took a shower, right? Getting ready to go to work for the next day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I ate something. They're still playing because they extra innings, right?
Right.
I still won't go downstairs. Like, our TV room was in the cellar's done over. It may become the living room, right? I lay down up here in the living room upstairs, and I'm just staring at the ceiling, talking to it, going, "Why wouldn't you take him out, you dumbass?" Right? I said, and I'm sitting there going, "You know what?" Then I do the whistling through the graveyard, right, Ron? They're going to win. They're going to come back and win. This is the year we beat the Yankees. So I go downstairs, and I start doing my football pool, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't care if they win or lose. My God, when they lost, I went, "You sons of bitches!" I threw the thing at the TV. I go, "Why do you do this to me all the time?" But we got him back. We got him back good the next year, Ron.
We certainly did. We talked about OOTP earlier.
Yeah.
Someone was handling they've been distributed by different people at different times.
Yep.
At one point, I forget who it was. I was at least chat friends with their American distributor. They were coming out with a basketball game someone else was doing. A college basketball game. And
really? I know.
This was 2003, so it was 15 years ago. And so I'm on AIM, of all things. AOL Instant Messenger, for those of you under the age of 40. And I'm chatting with him, and I'm chatting with another buddy as we're watching this game. And we had the very same conversation. Why are you leaving Pedro in? They're going to blow this game. Which is exactly what happened. The 2003 Sox, Bill Miller won the batting title, batting ninth.
Yes, he did. And can I bring up one more thing before I forget? Because Grady Little, thank you, because I had Jimmy Williams stuck in my head. But
Jimmy was before.
Yeah. Grady Little, if you remember that year, Nesson used to do a post game where you could call up, right? I'm going to share this story. I want to see if you remember the game. They're kicking the snot out of the Marlins, who would go on to beat the Yankees that year in the World Series.
Josh Beckett with the shutout in Game 6.
That's right. They're kicking the snot out of the Marlins. Kean, what was the Marlins manager? Oh, God. The Trader Jack.
Jack McKeon.
Oh, it was McKeon. Okay. Now, they kicked the snot out of him in one game, and Grady Little does the press conference. And he goes, "That's not the way we play here." Because McKeenan said, "Why'd you run the score up?" I would have told him, "Hey, I know we're friends. It's baseball. This ain't Little League, right? I'm not going to tell my guys stop playing." I would have done it politely, Actually, probably not, but I would have. Now, the next game, let's see if you remember. I bet you remember this, Ron. They're kicking the snot out of him again, practically, right?
Okay.
He basically played the game like a Little League game. He took as many starters as he could out, right? And he basically called off the dogs, right?
Yep.
They lost the game. So I never called into it. Very rarely have I ever called into a sports talk show. And the only time I called into one, my brother was doing one on local radio one time, right? And so I got my cell phone out, my work cell phone. And I'm like, "You son of a..." You couldn't get through. And they had to literally stop taking phone calls because people are like going, "What the F?" And they're beeping people out.
Right.
Because again, this is not Little League baseball, right?
Right.
This is not Little League baseball. And that was, I would have fired him. I literally, if I was the owner, I would have brought him in. I go, "Do you understand?" I have this whole routine in my head that I've actually used it when I was in management for companies, to say, do you understand who pays your bills, right? You understand who signs your check?
I understand where you're coming with that, yeah.
Yeah. So you can have your, but you understand, right? You work on this team, right? I would have had the same. I would have went there and go, Grady, do you understand? You manage the Boston Red Sox. I don't care if we beat someone 1,000,000-1 and they cry all the way home. I don't care. I would have literally fired him right then and there. I remember saying, fire the guy right then and there. You play to win. Just like now, I'm not saying to get people hurt, but you play until you win the division. You start resting people, right? And then you got to keep the pedal to the metal. You can't.
Yeah.
That's just I think we're in sort of, I'm not saying you agree totally with me, but we've had this sort of discussion where it drives me nuts where you don't play to win.
If you look at the Indianapolis Colts those years with Peyton Manning,
it
would go out to 10-0, 11-0, 12-0, and they'd clinch the division by Thanksgiving. And then Dungy would start playing, his subs the first week of December. You can't, once you take the foot off the throttle, you're not getting it back.
No. And where'd that get them? One Super Bowl, and they were lucky they were playing the Bears, who had an anemic offense.
Yeah, well, they got a
good defense, but anemic offense.
Good Rex Grossman and bad Rex Grossman.
Yep.
Grossman cost me $75.
Son of a bitch! Son of a
bitch. Because I was at a bar doing the Super Bowl squares, and I would have had the end of the third quarter. I had the numbers, and Grossman threw a pick six.
The pick six, right?
Yeah, the pick six, and $75.
Yeah.
Not that I really ever cared.
Another reason why I could dislike Rex Grossman.
Yes, well, there's lots of reasons, but yes.
I have a similar story with everyone. Trevor Hoffman. Oh, he's a good reliever. Yeah, no, he cost me money, man. I hate him. I don't really hate him, but when someone costs you money,
yes, yeah,
you got that little in you. Anyway, that's my story about that. So
okay.
You must have been a happy camper when the Giants beat the Patriots, though. To stop the undefeated season.
Up until the damn Eagles won the Super Bowl this year.
Yes.
I wasn't really thrilled about that because Eagles fans
are obnoxious.
Are extremely. They're the most, Philly fans are the most obnoxious in all of sports. They will sit there, I worked at a place and we had a guy from Philadelphia that would come in and you understood why they would boo Santa Claus.
Yes, they did boo Santa Claus.
It was F this and F that, and, no good this and no good that. Now, the Eagles have had success.
Yes.
Andy Reid, though, was tips. Andy Reid's a classic underachiever. You can bring him to the Super Bowl, but you can't win. Anyway, so I used to tell people if Tom Brady wants to visit his missing Super Bowl rings and Lombardi trophies, all he has to do is go to East Rutherford. They're right there. But now we got to share it with the.
That sucks too. You hate the Eagles. Ooh, I know, Ron. I got to ask you when you're all set. I got a Giants Eagles. Let me just.
I'm gonna bring up that walk-off punt on Christmas Eve.
Oh, that's even. I got one better than that, Ron.
Or Pisarcik in the fumble.
Yeah. So, Ron, there was a quarterback in the day.
Yes.
Pisarcik.
Yes.
And you have to understand, my brother's a huge Giants fan, so I actually did root for the Giants a bit too. As long as they weren't playing the Patriots, I could, And you remember they had Larry Zonka at the end of his career.
Yes.
And then he'd go back and play one more year with the Dolphins. They actually made the playoffs. Last year he's with the Dolphins. I think 70. No, whatever. Anyway.
Right.
And so the whole thing was, they fumbled the ball. That's how the Eagles made the playoffs that year, I believe. I think.
Yes.
I could be. I could be wrong.
They were a wild card that year.
Yeah, and that's what brings about victory formation now. Because in the old days, they just literally would give the ball to the fullback.
You could not kneel. You had to run a play.
Right. That was against the rules.
Right.
So they would literally give the ball to the fullback or just have the quarterback. Usually they would just dive into the line on a like a sneak almost. But most of the time, I'm trying to remember back, they would just give the ball to the fullback, the guy, one of their running backs, who they didn't think was going to fumble.
Right. And soccer didn't fumble that much.
Yeah. And what they did was, instead of doing that, they were having Pisarcik go back a few, 3-4 steps and just sort of fall down. And the Eagles were coming. That was legal. You could go back a few steps, pretend to run around, and fall down. and the Eagles were hitting them hard. And they go, well, we didn't want to get our quarterback hurt, so we decided to run. It was one more play. You had to do that, for God's sakes, right?
It was Herm Edwards who ran it back.
That's right. Who would go on to coach
the Jets.
Yes, the Jets.
He starts his first year at Arizona State, I think, this weekend too.
Oh wow! I didn't even know he went back to coach. Wow,
yeah, someone offered
Good luck to him.
Boatload of money to leave ESPN.
Yeah. But yeah, so remember, they're supposed to give the ball to Zonka. There's miscommunication. If you watch that play, that is the ugliest play. It looks like he's pitching him the ball, and Zonka has his hands like this, and it hits him in the hip. And God, I remember my brother just going spastic.
If you look on the tube, someone had posted the original CBS broadcast of that, and they ran the credits before the play. Because it wasn't a doubleheader week, obviously, and so they were going off the air, and so.
And was that a Saturday game?
No, it was a Sunday game.
It was a Sunday game. Okay.
Sunday game, and then this happens, but that caused a lot of changes. You'd mentioned that.
Yep.
You couldn't kneel until the mid '80s.
Yeah, there's no victory formation.
You had to throw the ball if the quarterback was trying to run out the clock or trying to speed up. He had to throw it out of bounds. He couldn't.
Yeah, they call intentional grounding.
Right. So, true story, or one that possibly true story. After that game, Pete Rozelle, who was, if I hate Roger Goodell,
I do too.
And so, Pete Rozelle was the National Football League.
Yes, he was
commissioner at the time, and he pulled in
commissioner
Wellington Mara, who owned the Giants. And Rozelle said after that, this is a flagship franchise of the National Football League, which is a lot for Rozelle to admit to because he was with Bert Bell in Philadelphia.
They had been poor for many years.
Right. Well, you're right. Well, the Yankees threw him out of Yankee Stadium. Look, you are the franchise. You are the flagship franchise of the National Football League. You cannot be that inept.
Yep.
And so that winter, they hired George Young as the general manager.
Yep.
They hired some scrub by the name of Parcells to be the defensive coordinator.
Yep. Because the guy who went to coach Alabama after,
Ray Perkins.
Ray Perkins. Yep.
And they drafted some scrub announcer from Morehead State by the name of Phil Simms.
Phil Simms.
I couldn't stand Simms. And they did. They won. They eventually won 2 Super Bowls, but that change, that sea change, came out of that game. Thanks for that lovely memory, Al.
No. I always like to share, my friend. I got to chat for a moment. The Cubs, the Bears, good friend of the channel, who's a big Cubs and Bears fan.
I honestly thought he was going to talk about his undying love for Aaron Rodgers and Al Hrabosky.
So the Cubs and Bears says, this mocking of the 2006-07 Bears is hard for me to take. My memories of Devin Hester are all I like Devin Hester.
Hester was incredible.
He was awesome for football.
7 touchdown returns that year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was incredible. So tremendous love to Devin Hester. But you're right. So, and then the Giants in 1981, a few years later, made the playoffs with Scott Brunner.
Yes.
Actually was a serviceable quarterback. Not better than Phil Simms. At that time, people forget, at that time, Simms struggled a lot. That's why Scott Brunner was playing.
No, Simms couldn't stay healthy.
He got injured?
He got like 2 or 3 years in a row.
Okay. I just remembered he didn't play a lot. That's what I remember. Okay. So Scott Brunner from Delaware. I think he was from Delaware.
Really? Was he
I believe he was a blue hen. I could be wrong. I've been wrong many a times. But
that's why I went to journalism, so I could be wrong a lot.
So they won a playoff game. I remember they had to beat Dallas, I want to say either the next to last game of the year or the last game to make the playoffs. Joe Danello kicked a field goal.
Wow.
And they beat Dallas, or the next, they had to win that game.
In New York.
And then they won a wild card game, and I think they beat the Eagles in the wild card. I think. And then they would lose a tough game. They hung in for a long time with the 49ers. And if you remember, they made a trade that year for Rob Carpenter, who was a very good back in Houston, but he was actually the blocking back for Earl Campbell, and he was Rob Carpenter.
Love it.
And they made the playoffs, and they had that good. I think it was LT's first year.
Yes, it was his rookie year.
And then they fell off the next year. But then
the strike hurt them too.
Yeah,
they lost. Everyone lost half the season.
So
and they played a Monday night game against the then St. Louis Cardinals. That was like a scoreless tie or a 20-20. It was a tie. And say hi to the cat again. That Howard Cosell kind of went off about the quality of playing the National Football League. If you're into sports history, hi, Dad.
Hello, Emma.
She's gonna walk across again.
She's gonna shut us off.
No, she didn't. I'm impressed.
She's
up. But my wife's home now. Yeah. If you're a fan of history, watch the America's the ring story for the Redskins that year.
Yeah, because them winning those strike games helped them get to the Super Bowl, and they had to give those guys. Is this the one they had to give those guys a share or a Super Bowl ring or something?
Well, the Redskins won on both strike years, so 82 and 87.
So I think it was 87, the
right.
story I'm thinking of, not 82. Yeah. It's 87 when they had the strike players. But that's what they loosely based that movie, The Replacements, on.
Yeah, yeah.
They loosely based that on that. Because if you remember, that's a great story. The Dallas Cowboys practically all crossed the line. And I think it was a Monday night game, and they're playing the Redskins, and the Redskins didn't
it's three quarterbacks in 3 weeks.
Yeah, the Redskins didn't cross the line. They literally played almost the whole Dallas Cowboy team with replacement players, and the Redskins beat them. The Redskins, with all replacement players, beat the Dallas Cowboys, who probably had 3/4 of their team, if not more. Probably all their players, but some of them weren't ready.
They were past their prime in 87.
Yeah, but still, they lost their replacement players. That was awesome.
Your Bears fan friend. You knew that the Cowboys dynasty was over a couple of years earlier when Chicago went down there to Irving and beat them 44-0.
Yep.
And
Gary Hogaboom, there's a playoff game. I thought they killed him. Was that the game where he got like the double smash as he was sliding? I thought they killed him.
There are parts of quarterbacks still embedded in artificial surfaces to this day from that season, including at the Superdome. You felt bad for that. I mean, that was, I don't know if you've done this, gamer, because you do a lot of cross history games. If you played the 85 Bears against the 2000 Ravens.
No, I played the 85 Bears against the 62, I think it was a 62 Packers, the team that lost.
Defense too.
That was, but I did that one. I'm going to get
two defenses that were brutal. That was the Giants lost to the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and you didn't feel bad because the Ravens were that good.
They beat them 20-10, 20-27.
Gary Collins was their quarterback.
Yeah, he had a good year with the Giants.
Well, the Giants beat Minnesota in the conference championship game. Minnesota was favored.
Yep. Is that the one where Merton Anderson missed the field goal?
That was a couple of years earlier. Here,
okay.
Mike for a second.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I got you called into an impromptu podcast, Sarah.
Hello.
That's Al, Red Sox fan.
Hi, Al.
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent. I'm gonna go chat for a second.
Okay.
Thank you, Dog Sidious, for getting rid of that dink. Thank you very much. Good job. Good job, Dog Sidious. Moderator extraordinaire, ID gesture, JD. We're all over that stuff. Beautiful.
The game you were thinking of was the game against Atlanta.
Yeah. Okay. With Reeves was coaching Atlanta then.
Right. And Morton Anderson, I believe, was the kicker for Minnesota.
Yes, because he had
and the first one he missed was the one in overtime. He had missed a field goal all year.
All year. Imagine that's the one you miss.
Yeah, the one that would have sent you to the Super Bowl. So yeah, that would be an interesting one because you do a lot of those cross-air.
Yeah, I like the quickly to move to that retro gaming or sim gaming, as you and I enjoy that. A lot of people in the chat enjoy that. We have other people who come from different stations, and I thank them, who are Game of Thrones fan or Walking Dead, TV movie fan, and we like that stuff. Oh, I like that stuff too. But I have a real passion for the retro sports games, and it goes back. I've played a few of them. I'm going to continue because I enjoy it. The Fran Tarkenton football game, which I played as a kid, that got me hooked on retro sports gaming. And my favorite thing is the what if, and I do replays for a whole season too. I've gotten away from that. I like the what if factor, right? And it's just, and I'll tell you where you get some heat. I early on got some heated comments where boxing, you do a what if. I mean, my God, it's a sim. I'm not saying this is exactly what's going to happen. I'm just simming it because I want to.
And that's one of the best sports for what ifs because of the I mean, who would you not want? Lewis and Ali or Tyson and Lewis or whatever. I mean that sport is perfect for that because it's the same rules in 1893 as it is in 20.
The only thing that's tough, and I've said this when I'm on T-Dub's channel, and he does a wonderful boxing channel, What's Blazing in Sports. The heavyweights are the only one because the heavyweights got so big. That's the only one we have to say because a lot of the old heavyweights would be most likely cruiserweights now.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what anyone says. You can disagree, that's fine. Joe Louis hits you, he's going to put a hurt on you. I don't care how big you are, Joe Louis is going to put a hurt on you. If Rocky Marciano, even at his size differential, could somehow get close and hit you, he's going to put a hurt on you. I'll even go to a little more modern. If Joe Frazier struggled against big punchers, he always did. That's just because of his style. Like Foreman. Now that being said, I like to do a little trivia question. I'm going to give you the answer. I always say Joe Frazier lost 4 fights. Name the fighters. And everyone's always trying to think of 4 fighters. He only lost to 2 fighters. Yeah, twice to Muhammad Ali and twice to George Foreman. Yeah, but I think I'm a boxing fan. I think it has had a little resurgence. Not in it totally, but it has come back a bit. And I enjoy that. I don't want to go off too much in talking boxing because no one else wants to. But what happened with boxing, and I think you'll remember, in the 80s, it was on TV.
Oh, every week.
Every week.
Every week.
CBS, ABC, NBC. And NBC and ABC, I don't remember CBS doing primetime fights. In the slow time, what they considered the slow time, they would do primetime fights.
They had NBC had Holmes against Frazier's kid.
Yeah. Oh, he annihilated him. Yeah.
Oh, and the looking over as Holmes
stop the fight.
Stop the fight.
Yep.
You know what? The fight that probably, aside the fact that Don King fixed a lot of fights, was Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Dooku Kim.
Dooku Kim, the South Korean kid.
On CBS.
Yep. And it was a 15-round fight.
Yep.
And that was the last.
That was brutal. That was brutal, that fight.
I watched that one live. My mother would tell you, if you can get hurt, my son will watch it. But yeah, I mean, that was brutal.
Because Mancini never fought an easy fight because of his style. And Dooku Kim was a tough fighter. And was it the 13th? He knocked him out, of the 14th finally, and that was a brutal fight. And he he went to the hospital, and God rest his soul, he never recovered. To this day, I know Mancini came back, he beat Bobby Ciccone and this and that, but he was never the same. Not that he was. I'm gonna tell you the times I got really sad in sports.
Mm-hmm.
The Red Sox lose the 1-game playoff.
Yeah.
Okay. 76, when I was a real little kid watching football with my parents and my brother. My sister could care less about football in 76. And the whole roughing, they lose to the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
And I got sad because everyone else was sad. And then but 78, then, and of course I'm sad. You see someone, you find out someone passed away, you're sad about that. But I'm talking about just for a sports moment. When Ray Boom Boom Mancini lost in Buffalo, New York to Livingstone Bramble the first time, and he lost his title, I remember going, not that there's anything wrong with Livingstone Bramble. He's actually a nice guy. He was just playing up the bad guy role. So I really disliked him. The whole, we're going to gouge your eyeballs out. You're going to make you bleed. And they bring the voodoo doll and all that stuff. And again, it was shtick. I get it now. But as a youngster and you're rooting for this kid, I just want Ray Boom Boom to annihilate him, right? And I'm watching the fight. And again, people will say, oh, this and that. You know, up until a certain point in the fight, Mancini's fighting okay. And he's actually, again, the fight's close. But then, you know, Bramble had the perfect style, beautiful counter puncher. And those are the times I really got, and I really got sad because I really liked Ray Boom Boom Mancini. And then he was never the same after the.
How could you be?
No. And Emil Griffith, who Benny Kid Perrette, another tragedy in the ring.
Back in the early 60s, yeah. In
the early 60s, that they actually took some, they considered taking boxing off live TV because of that. Tragedy in the ring. Benny Kid Perrette had called Emil Griffith, every name in the book. I mean, I'm not going to go through it. He questioned his manhood. He questioned everything, right? And Emil Griffith, who was more of a boxer, says, I'm going to get, he kept saying to himself, and he told Gil Clancy, his trainer, he goes, because Gil's like, don't let him get in your head, just box him, beat him again, right? Beat him boxing. Because I believe he had beat him once already, but he had boxed him, right? And what Perrette was trying to do was goad him into a slugfest. And he got his slugfest. And Emil Griffith said, not that he was a big puncher, even he admitted that. He goes, I never opened up on anyone ever again. Like I would hurt somebody and I'd have that in my back of my mind. So,
you look through at the end of Ali's career, the Burbeck fight. He was never physically right after the Burbeck fight.
No. And that was what's strange? You can find that fight on YouTube. That was in the Bahamas. I've watched it a couple times. And again, I wish he didn't fight the fight, but he did not fight dreadful in that fight. He fought worse against Holmes, but he should have never fought that fight.
He was never right after the Burbeck.
No, he started slurring. If you see interviews afterwards, he started slowly slurring his words and stuff. I mean, it's a brutal sport. That's why when they make their money, I don't, whether the guy gets whatever, you don't know if you're walking out of that ring.
No, you don't.
You make your money when you can make your money.
But it's hard because there's so many different divisions and so many different weight classes now to have that. I mean, there's nothing in sports like a heavyweight championship fight.
No, you're right.
As someone who's watched a lot of those over the years and covered, World Series and all that, you can fake the pageantry for the Super Bowl. But as far as tension is concerned, where you have two equally matched fighters about to go at it, there's nothing like it.
No, there's Gerry Cooney, Larry Holmes, 1981, 82. I can't believe I forgot that. It's either 81 or 82. I think 82 sticks in my head. Probably 81. Anyway, that fight, again, there's a lot of different reasons. There's a racial tension, this and that, yada, yada. And Don King loved it because it moved the fight, Caucasian fighter versus an African-American fighter, heavyweight championship of the world. And again, Gerry Cooney gets denigrated. He shouldn't, because he tried hard. And he was Larry Holmes is an all-time great fighter. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Okay, that's why he almost had the undefeated record. Okay, all-time great. Gerry Cooney had this one. He was tough, and he had that big left hook. And my God, if he could hit you with that big left hook, he was going to hurt you. And he fought probably the best fight of his life that night, and he lost. And he'll always say this. And I remember watching with a lot of people, this gentleman's house we went to. My uncle took me. I was so happy to go see the fight because I'm thinking I'm going to have to watch it 2 weeks later, right? And my uncle's like, don't worry, we're going to see that. And I'm thinking he's going to take me to the Springfield Civic Center. Do you remember you could go to fights, closed circuit, right? Before pay-per-view. That was pay-per-view. Right? And this gentleman we knew had a satellite dish, and they brought, he had something, and he got the fight in, right? There must have been I can't even count the people there watching that fight. And people rooting for Holmes or Cooney. It was really fun. No animosity there whatsoever. Just people having a good time. And I remember watching this. I was so happy to watch the fight. And I'm sitting there, and even at a young age, I was an astute boxing fan because I watched my dad, I watched my brother, my uncles. That's probably the sport I understood the best at a young age. Okay, and I kept going, why is he not jumping on him? Meaning, like, just go for it. And years later, Cooney always said, he goes, the mistake I made, he goes, doesn't mean I was going to win. I'm probably still going to lose. He said, if I had to do it over again, I was so concerned about the 15 rounds, right? Don't run out of gas. Don't run out of gas. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. So, the great fight, though. And Holmes beat him. It was a good fight. I enjoyed it, but yeah.
One of my dad's softball player friends back in those eras, back in the late 80s, was a huge boxing fan, and he didn't have cable. And Mike Tyson was fighting in Glens Falls at the Civic Center. If you remember, he was from King. They brought him.
He would fight like every 3 weeks.
Right.
Early on. Yeah.
It didn't. He literally fought a tomato can.
Yeah.
So one of the rare fights that they put on Wide World of Sports.
Was that Marvis Frazier?
No, that's a different fight. That was the whole. So Tyson gets his first shot on Wild World of Sports. Well, the guy had to pee, so he goes in the bathroom. Bell rings. Tyson knocked out his tomato can in 25 seconds. He missed the entire fight.
Oh, that's a Mike Tyson fight. I'll tell you something. There's two. Okay, so when he fought Michael Spinks, right? And people are like, oh, Spinks, and Michael Spinks, great fighter. And I go, oh, he's going to box him. I'm like, have you seen Michael Spinks fight? I mean, even when he fought as a light heavyweight, he was a good – he's not a boxer who moves. He's going to use angles. He's going to be there. You can hit him. Not that – he had good defense, though. I'm not – I go, this is Mike Tyson. I remember I made money on that fight. I couldn't believe people like, oh, he's going to be – I go, are you out of your mind? And I'm not a big Tyson fan. I'm just saying you – and the other – that was I remember – he had him beat when he came out of the locker room. You could see it in his eyes, So, but yeah, I like boxing. I think Marvin Hagler, big Hagler fan.
It's from Boston.
Just huge Hagler fan. They had so many good middleweights in the day. And again, guys who never fought for the title. Frank the Animal Fletcher from Philadelphia, great TV fighter. I don't know, probably no one remembers him, but was just an action fighter.
Not a name I remember.
He was always on NBC. They always made. I mean, here's a guy. Twice they used to have the title eliminator fights. You win, you could get a shot at the title.
Right.
I mean, you kind of see it now, but then the guy really doesn't get a shot at they're just jerking him around and stuff. But
great.
So the first one he had, the first one was against an Argentinian fighter named Juan Domingo Roldan, and they're like, okay, we're gonna fight. And no one knew Roldan, right? No one. I mean, you read about it in the paper. Okay, he has this many wins. He's never fought in the United States. They show some clips of him fighting in Argentina. Okay, he's a rough guy. He kicked the living snot out of Frank the Animal Fletcher. So he doesn't get his title shot there, right? And actually, I'm wrong. The first one, Wilfred Scipion, he loses a decision to him. So Scipion goes to Worcester, I think it was in Worcester, to fight Hagler, and Hagler destroyed him, right? And then he loses to Domingo Roldan. He doesn't get his title shot.
What I most remember about the NBC fights is they let them do them from prisons. From Rahway State Prison.
It was Scott. It was the last name. He was a light heavyweight. His name was Scott. I can't remember his first name. And Dwight Muhammad Kwai, then Dwight Braxton, who actually came from Rahway Prison. He did some time. Went back, or I don't know if it was that one, but he went back and he beat him in prison. And that was a huge. And the whole debate was, if he had beaten Kwai, who then he had changed his name because he changed his religion, who was Dwight Braxton, if he had beaten him, right? The question was, were you going to let him get a title shot? The guy's in jail for like life or something, like a long time, and he didn't have to worry about that because Braxton beat him, and then he beat Matthew Saad Muhammad. He brutalized him in 2 fights. Great light heavyweights were great then. Oh my God, so many good light heavyweights. Anyway, no one wants to hear my boxing. In the chat, thank you, Ron, for indulging me because I love boxing chat. In the chat, we have D. Scott Howard. Hello, and Eric from Higher Ground Gaming. He says, hello, Ron.
Hi, Eric.
So, what else? What are? So you're a Canadians fan.
Yes.
We know you're a Red Sox fan.
Yes.
We know you're a Giants fan.
Yes.
But what game made you become a Giants fan, or was it your your father? Was he a Giants fan?
No.
How did you?
Actually, I grew up a Bengals fan.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals.
Interesting.
Because they they would occasionally beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I never liked.
You're gonna be 0 for 2 with our Buckeyes fans.
Well, I respect the hell out of them. I actually watched the Football Life on Chuck Noll last week.
How was that?
It's worth it. Absolutely worth it. Knowles was a genius.
Yeah.
And Bradshaw never got the credit he deserved.
No, because he played up that he was a dummy.
And he called his own plays.
That's what I mean. He played it up because they thought he was from the was it Louisiana State? Or a southern school. Louisiana. And they played up, they country bunk it. He called all of his own plays. Now, again, I'm not saying the guy is a brain surgeon. I'm saying he called all of his own plays. That's not like an easy. You got to think quick.
The Cowboy defender said if you spotted him the C and the T, he couldn't spell cat.
That was funny though. That was.
And so the Bengals sucked through the '90s. I mean, that was their lost decade. I mean, between the bad draft picks and Paul Brown dying and all that.
Yeah.
And I really stopped. I didn't really watch much. I mean, I would watch, but I really didn't have a rooting interest. And so someone who used to work for me was a huge Eagles fan. And only 3/4 as obnoxious as some other Eagles fans I know. And so it was like, okay, if we're going to go do this, I'm rooting for the Giants. They trained up here at St. Mike's back in the 60s. And so they've been on TV for 1,000 years when CBS had the NFC package. The Giants were always on. And, of course, the NFC East, so you got to know the Cowboys and the Redskins and the Eagles and the Giants pretty well. I mean, if they were showing a game from St. Louis, like, oh, goody, who's going to beat the Cardinals this week? I knew the team and knew the deep history and loved Mara. And so it was easy to root for them.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second,
Mm-hmm.
Ron. You have to. When you redid your sim of the Giants and the Colts 58 championship game, is that on Retro Sports Network?
No, that's on Ron Juckett. That's on.
Okay. Anyone who enjoys a beautiful football call.
That was a hell of a game too.
Go to Ron Juckett
on YouTube.
His other channel, and he did the sim of the 1958 Giants Colts game, greatest game ever played, as it's titled. In real life, and you just got Ron does a beautiful job with his sims. He's like he should be a professional announcer. I'm not, again, not because he's my friend. He should be. Check that out.
When I do football, I always play just the offenses because I don't really know enough to call. I know you do a lot of defensive calls. I play both the offenses.
Well, I picked that up from you when I did another little league. Like, could anyone defeat the Dolphins? And then you know what happens? Things pop into my head. I want to do something else, right?
Right.
And it just happens. I'm sorry, right? But I did that. And I enjoyed that. I did. I like playing one team, but I was like, wow, I get to play as all these, call plays for like Ken Stabler and this and that. Because I hate the Raiders. I like Ken Stabler, and you probably know what. Okay, I've always pretty much hated the Raiders. There's a big reason why I hate the Raiders. The gentleman's name, God rest his soul, is Darryl Stingley.
Right. I actually met him.
Did you meet him?
I did. I'll tell you that story. I got about 15 minutes, then I got to go to bed.
Okay, I'm sorry. We've kept you.
No, it's all right. I'll talk for a few more minutes. My wife was home, and so at some point she's going to want to go to bed.
Yeah.
After his accident, which was a teasing game, for Christ's sake.
Yes. I still say it's a dirty hit. I don't care.
It was a terrible dirty hit.
And people who say it's not, they're wrong. That's bullshit.
I mean, that was a terrible dirty hit. He embraced being a quad, and at one point in my life, as a kid, I lived in New Mexico, in Las Cruces, beautiful city, absolutely gorgeous city, home of the New Mexico State Aggies. And he came around to do some spot. They were doing mouth sticks. He had his name on a mouth stick
to help.
Right. It
Yeah.
was.
Okay.
It was molded to. I mean, this is what I use
Yeah.
today.
You use a spoon,
I
right?
use a spoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nice little mouth stick. And it came with different connections, so you could put a pen clip to it or a pencil or type. It wasn't great. You had to put plastic over it and cut your mouth open. But that wasn't his fault. But he went around to do that, and so I got the chance to spend 10, 15 minutes with him. His name didn't really ring a bell. Like I said, I was a little kid.
Right.
I knew the name Daryl Stingley, but I didn't. Years later, I saw the play, and you're right. I also got to meet Don Maynard that way too. Not
Don Maynard,
but
yes.
Don Maynard sold life insurance out of El Paso, Texas, in 1979, 1980, and they must have had the contract with the teachers union in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Okay.
And so he drove up from El Paso to Las Cruces, which is only a 40-minute drive anyway, to do that. And someone remembered I was a football fan. And so they ran into my classroom and said, well, who made Joe Namath famous? And for some reason I said, well, Don Maynard.
Don Maynard.
I was 8, 9 years old. I mean, it wasn't legs, pantyhose, and fur coats. The bimbos from from his strip club made him famous. And he said, well, Don Maynard's in the teacher's lounge. Would you like to meet him? Well, hell yeah. So I lost it through a couple moves, but I had a pictured autograph, and
that's awesome.
But yeah, anyway, these are stories I don't get to tell very often. So
thank you for sharing that, and that is awesome. I'm very lucky to have you on, Ron. I'm sorry I kept you on a little longer. But
to go back to that 58 championship game, I forgot who won it, but it looked like
I know who won it in your sim. I know who won it.
Yeah. I remember there was one hell of a second half comeback.
Yes, it was. I think you'll be happy who won it. That's what I think.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Again, please, friends of the channel, please, go to Retro. I'm gonna mess it up. Retro Sports Network.
Someone made me a beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Remember who that was.
Please subscribe to Ron Juckett. He also has a Ron Juckett channel.
Mm-hmm.
Be so kind to hit the subscribe there too, and check out the Giants Colts game he redid on 2nd and 10 football, 1958 NFL Championship.
Might have been the first game I ever did.
It's the first thing I ever saw that you did.
Yeah, it might have been the first game I ever did, and there was a lot of people who watched, which I found stunning. I mean, you were gonna, I think, ask me what got me into the sim thing.
So Eric from Higher Ground Gaming says that video, the football game, the Giants and the Colts, in the chat, Eric says, and check out Higher Ground Gaming, another one of the channels that we highlighted today, as always, one of the good friends of the channel, on the page and in the chat. Eric from Higher Ground Gaming says that video Ron did of the 58 championship game, Giants and the Colts, using 2nd and 10 was the first video I watched of his, and saw Al's comment on it, and then got to know him. So that was awesome. It was awesome. So
that was a hell of a game.
What would you? I know you got to go. I'm sorry. I just love talking to you. I'd like to have you. I'd like to have you back on many times.
Absolutely. Awesome.
I hope you enjoyed it. I think everyone did.
I'll stay for another 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So, and before you go, I want you to do your plug, whatever you want to plug. But I'm going to talk the Daryl Stingley thing a little more.
Sure.
Just a little bit, because that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. Daryl Stingley, again, that was a preseason game. It's a dirty hit. And what pissed me off, even as a kid and to this day, and I know he passed away, Daryl, and also the Doctor of Death, or whatever the hell he called himself, Jack Tatum. I believe he passed away finally. He played it up. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, he apologized later, or Ron, am I wrong that he played it up?
Yeah, you don't do that in a preseason game.
And later on, he played it up like you come across the middle. I'm going to hurt you bad. That was, I get it. You hit someone hard. That was a cheap, dirty hit. It's a cheap, dirty hit anytime, but that was awful. And then they had a Monday night game, 1978.
Yeah, same year. Yeah.
Yep. And then Stingley is in the booth. And the fans give, and I remember crying. That's another one of those moments I cried as a kid.
Kind of hard not to. I remember
it was awful.
Stay up that late for Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But I remember it was on the news the next night that he did done that, and yeah.
Baseball Demos has joined us. How are you? Check out that wonderful channel with Dave, and he's doing History Maker Baseball. He just got the new season, and I listened to it at work today. Oh, son of a gun. Phillies and the Braves opening day this year. It was very good. I'm not going to tell you about it. It was a good game. Check it out. Baseball Demos, and that's with Dave. As he says, the evil Jack Tatum. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Again, he played it up. You don't listen. Bad things happen sometimes. You don't mean it to happen. He could have hit him. Whatever. I think what upset me, and then I'll let it go. The way he played it up. You don't do that.
Well, the incident in the Giant and the Jet Lion game back in '98, one of those Saturday afternoon specials when Sanders was trying for 2,000 yards. And
yeah.
I forget the name of the player for the Jets, but became a quad from
the lineman. He put his head
on a kickoff return. Yeah,
he had his head down.
Yeah,
and I remember he hit and he just went like that.
Yeah, yeah,
and he never moved. That was another set. Yes, awful.
And the Lion, the guy that hit him from the Lions, never didn't make a big deal out of what a badass he was.
No. Why would you do? I mean, I don't want to. The guy's passed away. I get it. But God rest his soul, Darryl Stingley and Jack Tatum. I'm just saying, it just pisses me off. You don't do that to people in anything. I'm not talking about. You don't do bad things to people. I'm not saying you got to get along with everyone. There's people we all dislike.
Right.
But you don't do that.
Yeah, I mean there are things you could be heels about, and the Raiders were the heel of the NFL for years, but yet John Madden was their coach, and John's one of the most.
I like John. That's the conundrum for me. I liked Ken Stabler. I liked John Madden. I liked Biliknikoff, Villapiano. What was it? Dix? No, what was his running back?
Mark Van Eegen.
Liked Van Eegen, but they had Kenny King. Marcus Allen, I liked Kenny King, but there was another one in the '76. Not Dixon. That's way back when. Oh shoot, Clarence Scott. Anyway,
yeah.
Is it Clarence Dixon?
I believe so.
Okay, so it was. They had a Hubert Dixon too way back when because I just played the game. But there's players I like. I mean, you joke, I don't like those. I don't dislike Bucky Dent. I don't give a shit. I hate that he hit the home run, but I'll tell you, though, I really don't like Jack Tatum. And, again, I hope he's wherever he's at and he's whatever. So
there's a great picture, and might have been from 2003 or 2004, of Dent in the dugout at Fenway. And Carlton Fisk is there, and he's standing at third base. And the picture was taken at the right time because Fisk is giving the middle finger to the Yankee dugout.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, Ron, I got to, and Baseball Demo says Clarence Davis. Thank you, Dave.
Clarence Davis. Okay, yeah.
1967. Again, I wasn't born yet, but I love reading about it. Love watching videos on it. Love listening to those players talk about it. There was a fight amongst fights at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, I've seen the clip. Yeah,
it's on YouTube. If you could find the clip, 1967, the fight between the Red Sox and the Yankees. I don't know if next one we do, Ron, I'm gonna have that clip and put it in there.
That was a brawl.
Oh, that's a brawl. But so Joe Foy's at the plate. He was a third baseman for the Red Sox. I think he homered against the Yankees. I don't know if it was a game before, but they had a grudge because he homered and he had a big home run. And again, I don't care about brushing the guy back and. Okay, you have something against the guy, you hit him in the back, all right, whatever. And even that I don't like. I make a joke about it when I play. I'm like, I'm gonna plunk this guy in the back. Like I play my sim games. I make a joke about it. You should never throw at a guy's head, okay? Joe Foy, I don't remember who was pitching around for the Yankees. They threw at his head, they missed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now Petrocelli's chirping from the dugout, right? And they're all chirping the Red Sox, right? Going, what the? And they're using colorful language.
Yes.
And now they throw The very next pitch, they throw at his head again. And I don't remember if it took 2 or 3 times, but they threw once, they missed, and then they gonged him in the head. Okay? And they hit him in the helmet. And boom, he goes down, he gets up, and now the Petrocelli, they come out of the dugout. Petrocelli, you could see him pointing and screaming. And so now, calm stays. Foy, to his credit, I don't know how he did it, got up, looked at the guy. I think he did say a few and just went down to first base, right? And Petrocelli's going spastic because you don't see it, but they're telling the story. They're telling the story, right? And he's going, whatever, every colorful word in the book, right? And all the Red Sox players are, because that was a close-knit team, right?
It was.
And they all look, Jim Lomborg's pitching, right? And they just look at him. And Lomborg, what a great story tells. He just looks at him and he nods his head, right? And so now he goes, I can hit anybody anywhere, right? I'm not going to throw at his head. I forgot who it was. It was a bigger player too, right? Like size-wise, right? And he goes, I don't think it was a pitcher, though. Whatever, I don't know. And he hits the guy in the back, right? And the guy starts chirping. And Lomborg motions to him like, shut up and go to first base and shut the hell up, right? You just can imagine what they're saying because he motions to him like, just go. The guy takes he starts walking, he turns to take one, and then it's on. You just see Rico Petrocelli, Joe Foy just come flying. And that is the brawl of brawls. The funny part of that story is Rico Petrocelli's brother worked at Yankee Stadium as a security guard. Okay, listen to this, right? So they would always, as a favor to him, because his brother played for the Red Sox, they'd always put him right near the dugout so he could talk to his brother and the other Red Sox players who became friendly with because his brother plays for the Red Sox. Rico Petrocelli, I think, grew up in the Bronx or Brooklyn. I think it was the Bronx. And so now the fight breaks out, and they're just dogpiling, punching everything. And next thing I hear, because Petrocelli someone got him from behind, gets him on the ground, he hears, get off my brother. It's his brother's yanking Yankee players off and throwing them in, not hitting them, but coming close to it. Right. And so the next time they go to play in Yankee Stadium, Jim Lomborg and I think Mike Andrews, they go, hey, where's your brother? He goes, oh, yeah, they don't let him come near the dugout anymore. They go, where is he? They had him up way in the freaking upper ducks, and he's waving. But that's a brawl. Check that one out.
Yeah, I don't think the 76 brawl is on YouTube. The one where Lee separates.
Bill Lee.
Right.
Mickey Rivers hit him, right?
Like Billy ever threw hard anyway.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the A-Rod brawl. The brawl.
But the A-Rod brawl was good. But that was pretty good, though. That doesn't hold up to that 67. Oh. Those guys were throwing punches. I mean, people they want to do some, again, it's a baseball fight. So but I'm telling you, if anyone connected, they were going to hurt each other.
The one that I covered for the Nats when Hunter Strickland threw at Bryce Harper 2 years after Harper homered off him in the playoffs came out of nowhere. And there was Ryan Zimmerman's holding him back. It says after Harper got lucky because he was going to throw his helmet at him and just chucked it. One of the great internet memes of all time, set in the background of the Titanic, and Zimmerman's got his arms around, holding Harper back, and underneath it says, "Don't you talk to my son that way." Yeah, that was classic.
They just one more, and then I just enjoyed talking to you so much, Rob. Yeah. They just showed the one. Remember, Tampa Bay and the Red Sox used to have the beanball wars. That's the closest thing to really bad blood in baseball. And
pinpoint control.
Exactly. But let me go to the chat for a quick second. D. Scott Howard says Jim Otto 00. The Raiders was the greatest center of his era. Very good. Dave from Baseball Demo says Arena cheap shot on Asuna. Yeah, I think it's Asuna the way you pronounce it. And I think Dog City has found the clip for the 67 brawl. Thank you very much, Dog City. But they just showed the Gerald Williams one. I think it was Gerald Williams. And if you remember, I think it's this game. He was pitching like a no-hitter or something, and then he hit, or a perfect game, and the guy charges the mound. And Pedro's right, and Lou Merlone was playing third base, and Lou Merlone tackled him. And it was funny because when Pedro Martinez I knew him and Lou Merlone got along well, because he talks about him. But you didn't realize until they had the Red Sox day for him last couple of years back. So he starts telling the story. I think it was Lou Merlone. He used to hang out with Lou Merlone and Jim Corsi. Was it Jim Corsi? Anyway,
Jim Corsi, yeah.
But I guess you're big. And he goes, "Oh, Lou's the best." He was just, that was a good brawl. I mean, that was the Tampa Bay. They stunk, but God, they hated the Red Sox.
You know, when they signed Carl Crawford, I thought that was a good deal because
I did too.
Crawford destroyed the Red Sox. You'd sit down, okay, his first pitch, he's leading off the game, first pitch, and he's not picking up food, and he's on third. How the hell did that happen?
At least he wouldn't be hitting against the Red Sox anymore, right? He just didn't fit in Boston. He just couldn't play. Some people can play in Boston. Some people can play in New York, right?
All those big markets, Boston, New York, and Philadelphia.
Yeah, and some people can't.
No, Randy Johnson was one that could not play in New York.
Yep. Now I know. I wrote it down. Billy Martin. Before we go, one quick thing about Billy Martin.
All right.
Because I'm sorry. Billy Martin, they just did I saw it for a second time on MLB. You were talking about the Chuck Noll biography, which I got to catch on NFL.
Really good.
Billy Martin they did one on MLB. Absolutely outstanding. Funny story with that about a fight.
Heard about that. You got
to check it out, Ron. Yeah. I like Billy Martin. I get it. He rubs people the wrong way. But you know what? The majority of players who played for him actually liked him a lot. I watched that. Rod Carew, he managed Rod Carew one year. He was a coach to
Minnesota.
Yeah, and he got fired after winning the division because he told the GM where he could go. But anyway, remember Ed Whitson?
Yes.
He was one of those guys who couldn't play in New York, right?
Funny you should say that, but yes.
Yes. So, do you remember the fight him and Billy Martin had in the bar?
Yes.
So they're telling this story. It's unbelievable. So Ed Whitson grabs a fan who came over to say, "You guys got to play better. You got to pitch better, yada, yada, yada." And Ed Whitson's a big dude. Was he not a small guy? And he grabbed the fan by the neck and he pinned him against the wall. And he told him to shut the F up and go have his drink. Right. And Billy Martin, who had a few too many probably already after the game, he's sitting at the bar, and everyone liked Billy Martin. He had demons, unfortunately.
He drank a lot.
Yeah, and that was his demon. And he goes over, and they kind of say, "Well, we didn't know who Billy was going to hit." Billy was not going to hit the fan, believe me. Billy hated Ed Whitson, and Ed Whitson hated Billy. So he goes and he punches Ed Whitson. Whitson drops the fan, turns around, and Whitson used to wear cowboy boots. The only reason why I know this is because I just saw it. He kicked Billy right in the nuts. So Billy goes like this. They describe it as a Terminator. He never goes down. He just, punches, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then he pops up, and the guy goes, just like the Terminator. He goes, "Ed, I'm going to have to effing kill you now." And then the brawl was on. So they fight. They make him go outside because they're like, "You can't fight in here. Right. Can we fight in the back alleyway?" "Yeah, go fight there. We don't care." So all the players, Willie Randolph, Ricky Henderson, so on and so forth. And now they say, "Okay, that's enough." They break it up. So now Willie Randolph and Ricky Henderson tell I forgot who I think it was Ron Guidry and someone, "Okay, you take Ed and you go up first, get him back to the room. They've worked it out. We'll be okay." Now there's a delay. So now they think, we can use the elevator now. Bad idea. The elevator opens and Ricky Henderson starts laughing. He goes, "And who's there?" "Ed Whitson." And my God, they went at it again. Anyway, God rest his soul, Billy Martin. So, Ron, thank you very much. Thank you for your wife's patience.
No, not a problem.
And you have the last word, my friend. And thank you to everyone in the chat. Let me quickly. Baseball Demos, thank you. Dog Cities, thank you. D. Scott Howard. Eric from Higher Ground Gaming. Broke Black Man 94. JD. Ken Castro. ID Gesture. Jake Cruz. As I'm scrolling up, Moni G. The Cubs, the Bears. Princess X. Thank you very much. LMR. I think we got everybody. Thomas, thank you. The original Grognard, thank you. My God, we had a lot. Ron, you bring out the fans. I see spots.
Really so.
You did a wonderful job. And if I missed you, I apologize. Please check out the friends of the channel listed below and in the chat. Wonderful channels. And please subscribe to Ron Juckett and also Retro Sports Network. Ron, Thank you very much. I hope to have you on many times.
Oh, I'll be back. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. Oh, well,
send us off.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to doing more of these. If you're needing someone to write content for your website, please get a hold of me. I'd love to talk to you. No, it's great. You can follow me on Twitter at Ron Juckett. Subscribe to the channels. That would be super. And I mean, this is a great community. I mean, Al reached out to me when I started, and Higher Ground Gaming, said these wonderful things. I don't really know any of these people, but it's wonderful, and I certainly appreciate. Keep the eyes open while you look at the camera on. Okay. No, I mean, this is great. I mean, I got the things that we talked about things that I had long forgotten, and do that. But again, as Al has talked to you before, sports is a great community, and baseball is a great community, and there's a lot of wonderful people on YouTube. And I look forward to talking with you more. Tuesday, live at lunchtime, 12:15, I'm going to unveil a football replay. I think I'm going to go 1978.
Cool.
And so we'll do those a couple days a week. I just, funny you mentioned Ed Whitson, because when you were trying to get a hold of me and I was watching that, is there any more disappointing rivalry in tennis than watching the Williams sisters play? It was 6-1, 6-1 Serena tonight. Just, so.
And you were looking forward to that too. I remember you telling me.
Just want them to just not go at it in an angry way, but to unleash their talent against each other and not be timid. And tonight was just one-sided, and Serena was hurt. They had to tape her ankle up in the first set. Anyway, so I'm watching that, playing with the video software, and so I decided that the baseball replay, I started a new baseball replay for the camera, but I don't want to do those live. I don't know when I'll release them. I want to do those in a bunch and then let them all go. But it was funny. I'm going to do 1985 because that's the year I turned 14. And as Ken Dryden supposedly says, whatever, one to sports mean more to you than anything, but when you're 14, because,
right.
And he's absolutely, whether he said it or not, it's absolutely true.
It's pretty right.
And so 85 was the year I turned 14. And so there'll be Red Sox games on a Wednesday, taped on a Wednesday, and the standard game of the week taped on a Saturday, because people really like that. And I was very appreciative of that. And
I liked it.
And so you weren't the only one.
Oh, I know.
So the opening game I taped tonight before you got a hold of me, it was Red Sox Yankees, the first Wednesday of the season from Fenway. If you're a Yankee fan, please watch, because you'll love it. Seriously, you'll love it. But the pitcher for the starter for the Yankees was Ed Whitson.
Oh, Ed Whitson. Billy Martin hated Ed Whitson. Hated Ed Whitson.
Was the manager to start the year.
Yes.
Played his poor son at third base.
Dale.
And they started 1-8 or 2-8 or something like that. And Steinbrenner fired him, and Yogi didn't talk to Steinbrenner for the next 20 years.
Yeah, he finally came back on Old Timers Day. They finally got him to come back years. Like
05 or 06.
Yeah.
And then the great scene at the last game at Old Yankee Stadium, when they brought everyone to stand in their positions, and it was just Yogi behind the plate.
One quick thing before you go. William Fergazzi has joined us in the chat. Hello to William and his wife. He says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Ron, I left a comment on your video with a request for replays. Thanks for asking your viewers."
Not a problem. I mean, if you're going to you can play the games anyway. But, if you're going to do this for public consumption, you should at least give me an idea of what you want to watch.
I like anything you do, even if it's Canadian hockey.
We'll figure out a way to get some of that in there.
Ron, thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks, Al. I really appreciate it.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you to everyone in the chat. Health and happiness. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye. God bless. You know what's coming, folks. Peace!